This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. And let me tell you, you know what? We're all of a sudden starting for the first time in at least a month and a half, seeing serious rumors floating around the NHL sphere, floating around Max Pacioretty, you've got Vegas as a whole, you've got Tampa Bay. What are they going to do? And that leaves the Oilers in a similar situation, trying to find just enough cap to clear so as they can sign Ethan Bear, activate Oscar Klefbom, sign an extra guy, and away we go. And that is the fun part about this, is now we're starting to get back into the hole. There may be trades coming. There was that Timashov trade to the Islanders from the Red Wings. Of course, he was traded to the Red Wings earlier by the Toronto Maple Leafs this past year. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes in Edmonton Oilers GM chairs and chairs across the NHL, and Ken Holland, I am sure, if everybody else is working the phones, is right there with them all, working the phones himself. So that's the fun part for us as Oilers fans, is all of a sudden, if that tweet I saw earlier this weekend comes true, and we have a season announcement as of Wednesday, we are going for what's going to be one heck of a weekend right before Christmas, and I cannot wait for it because it has been a long time since we've had a hard weekend of sitting here breaking Oilers news and having a crazy time doing it, right? You think back to that Dominic Cahoon signing. That's the last big time we had anything go crazy on the channel here on Dolany TV, but it's also the last big time we had crazy news in Oilers land. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I am happy to present to you the 5 guys I believe will be traded this season. Now, it's not necessarily traded before the season starts, traded before the season's over. It is traded at some time before this season is over, and it makes sense because, right, there's several guys on this list that we've talked about clearing cap space, one in particular from yesterday. I've ranked it 1 through 5 as to who I believe would be most likely to go 1 and least likely to be traded at this point. So let's go discuss 5 guys I believe will be traded or are likely to be traded at some point this season. Theodore Lindstrom highlights number 5. Why is Lindstrom on here? That's such a random pick, Tyson. Why would you even discuss somebody that hasn't played a game for the Oilers as being a guy possibly traded? Well, there's a lot of chatter within the Oilers sphere of reporters that he should be within the top 6, even beating out Chris Russell this year on the left side, right out of camp. I don't buy this. But even if he is a bench player or a taxi squad player, you look at him similar to what Joel Persson was for the Edmonton Oilers this past year. Bing, bang, boom. That is why he is on the list, is you've got guys ahead of him on the depth chart. Guys ahead of him in the depth chart, like a Philip Broberg, like a Dmitry Samorukov, like an Evan Bouchard, or even a William Lagesson for that matter. So you've got several guys, and by the time the trade deadline is upon us, if we're getting back to playing hockey January 13th, the trade deadline's probably going to come up. You'd get 56 games, so you're playing about probably 12 to 14 a month minimum, so you get through, 7, 12, 21, you're probably at game 35 by the end of March is where I'd assume, is you're probably around March for the end of the season or trade deadline, and then you're into April and first week of May to end the season. So okay, yep, bing bang boom, that makes sense. All right, so March, end of March, well, all of a sudden, yeah, suddenly we're talking KHL seasons could be over, you're talking Swedish seasons could be over, you're talking a lot of things could have happened in the NHL, and guys are needed elsewhere, and that is why Theodore Lindstrom comes in at number 5, is by that time of the year, it's very evident the Oilers could move on from Theodore Lindstrom if he's just treading water. I'm not saying if he's a superstar defenseman for us, you trade him. I'm saying if he's just treading water, similar to Joel Persson in the minors last year, you end up trading him. Now, number 4, I don't need to spend too much time on this, but we ended up talking James Neal yesterday, and again today we'll talk James Neal briefly. simply a cap dump for a team in the East that is looking to add goal scoring. Now, you can talk about a sweetener all you want. Let's go take a look at the past couple trades here on Cap Friendly, and I'll kind of get you going what's going on with those sweetener deals that everybody talks about. So, for instance, let's go to Andres Johnsson. That was for Joey Anderson, a complete cap dump for the Leafs, and they got out of $3.4 million. You go down to Austin Watson, $1 million, $1.5 million for a fourth-round pick. That's more of an NHL trade. But you look at this. For the Winnipeg Jets, they traded a fourth-round pick and Carl Dahlstrom. I'm sorry, that is nowhere a huge return for Vegas on Paul Stastny, and nowhere is that a huge sacrifice for the Winnipeg Jets, or I guess the Vegas Golden Knights. Sorry, I've got it going the wrong way. The Vegas Golden Knights did not have to give up anything major to dump the full, complete $6.5 million of Paul Stastny. And if you think Paul Stastny at 6.5 is worth more than James Neal, you're kidding yourself. They are worth equal or less is Paul Stastny. So get that one straight as well. Erica Branson, a guy who has absolutely just crappered the bed in the NHL the past couple of years. $4 million cap dump for a fifth-round pick. That's it, right? That's all. $4 million. So, okay, the Oilers get a seventh for James Neal, no problem. I just wanted to put that to bed. All right, that's put to bed. We're good to go. Let's move on to number 3. Similar to Theodore Lindstrom, but this one more of a roster impact issue in which Mr. Evan Bouchard forces Adam Larsson out of the lineup, and you get a return for a guy that's on an expiring contract. That's simply why Adam Larsson is at number 3. In any event, it looks as though the succession plan is happening this year for Adam Larsson to Evan Bouchard. That's been in the works since 2018, and now, of course, it's about to happen. And the question is, do you hold on to Adam Larsson, and with Ethan Bear and Tyson Barrie already in the lineup, do you try and just hold on to Adam Larsson and ride him out into the playoffs to win a cup? Or do you try and allow Evan Bouchard that rampant curve up and allow him to take over that spot and take us the rest of the way? I mean, 90% of Oilers fans, the way it seems, want Evan Bouchard to do that, but at what point do we not learn that that is not the way to develop prospects? But this is not an 18-year-old defenseman. This is Evan Bouchard, who is, 21, 22 by the time this season gets underway. So that's the other side too, is we can have a little bit of fun with how you want to see prospect development take place after a player's played several years in the minors already. So with Evan Bouchard, kind of the complication when it comes up to a guy like Mr. What's his name? Adam Larsson. Sorry, I'm looking at Evan Bouchard's birthday. So he won't be 22 until October 20th of 2021. So, okay, nothing major there, but he is 21. He's played a lot of years. He's been in the AHL for 2 seasons at a little bit. I guess he'll be in the AHL for 1 season, played some playoff games with them, played with the London Knights an extra year, and of course played with Soderger as well. So, all right, that's Evan Bouchard. So, Adam Larsson, number 3 on my list. Alex Chiasson rounding in at number 2. This is simply because it makes more sense to trade Jujhar Khaira than it does to trade Alex Chiasson. But in any event, trading James Neal makes just as much sense as trading Alex Chiasson. So, no matter how you shape up the right side in the top 9 still looks like Puljujarvi, Yamamoto, Kassian. On the right side, then you have to decide between James Neal, Alex Chiasson, Josh Archibald. The list goes on, right? So there's a lot of complication there for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's where you find 2 right wingers on this list. That's why you find them here, is because one of them for sure has to go. How you do it, how you get it done, that's the question we got to ask out of Ken Holland, and I guess within hopefully a week's time, we'll have an answer as to who is the man off the island for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, talk about a man off an island for the Edmonton Oilers, it's Jujhar Khaira. A guy who, if you keep James Neal, if you keep Alex Chiasson, really doesn't have a role on this team, right? Big body that doesn't engage. Well, you already have Chiasson and Neal. So, if you're keeping those guys, you might as well get rid of Khaira, because you can't have a bunch of guys that half engage the physical game sometimes if they want to, and keep a third guy that does that as well. You have to get rid of some guys, and especially at a $1.2 million cap hit, yeah, you know what? I'd love nothing more than to see Jujhar Khaira kept and light up like 10 goals and about 10 assists for 20 points in 56 games. At this point, doesn't seem likely. And again, right, Alex Chiasson seems like a better bet. James Neal is a better bet offensively. So, end of the day, we got to keep 2 out of the 3 guys these, or even 1 out of 3. You got to get rid of 1 or 2 of them. And end of the day, Jujhar Khaira is the weakest link when it all comes down to it, said and done. Jujhar Khaira is at the top of my list of 5 Oilers most likely to be traded this season by Ken Holland. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson, this is Stolany TV. Thank you so much for tuning into this list. I will catch you in the next one.